I have been really lucky that, the first, like Dave was the first artist that asked me to like co-produce a record that wasn't my own record.
Mm.
And like he believed in me and he wanted help and he like took a risk, and like I basically grew up in audio with Dave and our friend Aaron Strumpel. And then I made a record out in Nashville. I made a friend of Jason Lenning, who's an amazing engineer and producer out here, who's still, him and his wife are, and son are good. Like, they're like family to me out here. And
Yeah.
like, and Jason grew up behind the board because his dad, Kyle, has been like Randy Travis's
Wow.
principal recording engineer and producer and a lot of big country records. And he grew, his whole family's involved. And the one thing that's a little, it's there's a good and a bad. Like the good thing about like Logic being affordable and like everybody be able to set up their own shop and build their own studio is that like we get to hear more interesting music. Like the gatekeepers have like become less powerful,
Yes.
right? Which is like really good for culture. It's good for society. And the flip side of that is we have a lot of young producers coming up that have no mentorship and no friendship and no community in their craft. And so like, actually my husband's also a producer. And so like we can like commiserate and also encourage each other. And like I called Dave just 2 days ago and I was like, dude, here's this thing that's going on. And like I told Lucas to call you and like I want to talk to you about it. And like he had some really good insight for me.
Wow.
And like and I was just thinking about how like when we are isolated in our craft or our service. So like I think of like you and I were talking about that Mars Hills podcast and like we see pastors rise and fall or like anybody in any job, presidents, governors, whatever. um when you're isolating yourself in your act of service, I think there is real risk to becoming narcissistic or myopic or like self-centered or like confused about what you're offering.
Right.
And like for me to have like people who are peers and people who are ahead of me, like I think Dave is ahead of me in many ways still, like as an engineer and a producer and a songwriter. And I admire him so much. And like there's other things I can offer Dave. I won't point out the things that I'm better at than him, but like I just don't do it, Dave. I'm just joking.
You're, you're the best.
That was like a ego stroke there. But anyway, so like don't do it. Don't do it. Resist.
She knows all my weaknesses, by the way.
um, I feel like it has tempered me in a really good way. And like I remember having a conversation with Aaron Strumpel on that record that you're referencing, where I was very strong-minded about something specific, about this one acoustic guitar on the record. And he had the courage, because of our friendship, to tell me the next day that he felt bulldozed. And it broke me in a great way,
Yeah.
because I was like, I love this person. He is my friend. And I really admire him as an artist and also as a producer and an engineer. And so like, when you really respect the people you're working with, it's a game changer. And so like, it really, that was, like I said, like my failures have, and my pain have been some of my greatest teachers. And like, and I think it's tempered me as a producer, as a caregiver, and as somebody that's really in an act of service in an industry where you're caring for people. And I think that really does mimic pastoring in some ways. And so like having peers and having mentors who are ahead of you, like I was in a room with Lucas. We co-produced an artist, Carly Bannister, who's amazing. Her dad is Brown Bannister, who's produced Amy Grant and like Mercy Me and all these huge bands. And Brown came and sat in the room with Lucas and I when we cut vocals for Carly, and his demeanor, just literally sitting in a room with this guy who's been doing it 30 plus years. I was like, I'm learning from you.
Yes.
Like, and I just made me want to spend more time like with people. And Dave got to do this thing called Mix with the Masters. I'll let him tell you about it. But like, it's just, it really community. I can't believe we keep coming back to this, but I'm also not surprised.
Yeah, totally.
It just matters in every facet.
Wow.
Like it matters in the service of the work we do. And it matters in the experience of being able to like inhabit our own pain and our own bodies. Like we're just not meant to be isolated.
Right.
So anything that pulls us out of isolation is pretty powerful, because God, I had somebody tell me, it was a Methodist woman a month ago. She said, I believe the greatest sin is the sin of disconnection. Like disconnecting from God, disconnecting from the earth, disconnecting from the community, disconnecting from yourself. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to have to chew on that for a while.
Yes.
You know?
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like it, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you can stay tuned for all of our content.